Hey Jessica, welcome back to this exciting new episode of our podcast.
Thanks, Mark. It's always fun being here. Actually, I've been meaning to ask you something.
Of course. Go ahead, Jessica. Ask me anything.
Well, I've been getting this question from our viewers. How does listening to native speakers really help improve your English?
That's a great question, and I'm glad you brought it up. Listening to native speakers can be like unlocking a treasure chest for your English skills.
A treasure chest? Okay, now I'm curious. What do you mean by that?
So, imagine this. When you listen to native speakers, you're not just hearing words. You're also learning new words and phrasal verbs, pronunciation, and rhythm naturally without even realizing it.
That's interesting, but how exactly does that help with speaking English?
Great question. Listening helps you get used to how words and phrases sound when spoken naturally. This makes it easier for you to use those same words in your own sentences. You're training your brain to catch on to the patterns and structure of the language, which makes speaking feel more natural over time.
So it's like I'm copying what I hear, but in my own way.
Exactly. It's a bit like mimicking. You're taking inspiration from what you hear and then using it in a way that feels authentic. This approach helps with your fluency and builds your confidence as you start to form your own thoughts and phrases in the language.
So, Mark, do you know about Elon Musk?
Oh, come on. Who doesn't know him? He's probably the most famous person on the planet.
I can't deny this. That's true. Do you know why he is so famous?
Of course. He's famous for so many things. He's the CEO of Tesla, the company that makes electric cars, and SpaceX, which is working on space exploration. Plus, he's always in the news for his innovative ideas and ambitious plans, like colonizing Mars and creating self-driving cars.
Oh, I see. You know a lot about him. And he's the richest person in the world. His wealth comes from his businesses, especially Tesla and SpaceX. He's also involved in other projects like Neuralink, which works on connecting technology with the human brain.
How cool is this? It's like he's living in a science fiction movie and making it real. I mean, who else is thinking about putting humans on Mars or creating a brain-computer interface? It's mind-blowing.
Do you have any idea how much money he has?
Oh yeah, I've read about it. His net worth is constantly changing because it's tied to the value of his companies, especially Tesla. But it's usually over $200 billion. At one point, he was worth around $250 billion, making him the richest person in the world.
That's insane. I can't even imagine what having that much money would be like. What do you think he does with it all?
Well, a lot of it is invested in his companies and projects. He's not the kind of billionaire who just buys luxury yachts and mansions, though I'm sure he has some nice stuff. Most of his money seems to go into funding his big ideas, like SpaceX missions and developing new technology.
That's pretty admirable. Instead of just enjoying his wealth, he's using it to create something meaningful for humanity.
Yes, that's why I respect him a lot, and I think he's a great example of how wealth can be used to drive progress.
So, Mark, are you ready for the learning session?
So, the first word is complacency. This is a nice word, and we should know how to use it in our own conversation.
Do you believe there is a pathway to avoid that catastrophe, and what would it look like?
So I am not one of the doomsday people, which may surprise I actually think we're on a good path. But at the same time, I want to caution against complacency. So long as we are not complacent, as long as we have a high sense of urgency about moving towards a sustainable energy economy, then I think things will be fine.
Welcome back, my dear friends. We've just listened to the dialogue and also learned the word complacency.
Yes, Mark. What does it mean by complacency?
Complacency refers to a self-satisfied attitude where someone feels content and doesn't see the need to improve or address problems. It's like being too comfortable and ignoring potential risks or challenges.
I see, but Elon Musk said, but at the same time, I want to caution against complacency. In this context, what does he mean by this word?
Well, complacency here means being overly satisfied with the current situation to the point where people stop putting in effort or preparing for challenges. Musk is likely warning against becoming too comfortable or taking things for granted, as it could lead to problems or missed opportunities in the future.
We should give an example so that our audience can understand better.
For example, imagine a company that has been doing well for several years. The management might become complacent, thinking that their success will continue without any changes. As a result, they might stop innovating or improving their products. If a competitor comes along with a better offering, that complacency could lead to a decline in their market position.
Another simple example could be a fitness enthusiast who has been following a particular workout routine for a long time. Initially, they may see great results, but over time their body adapts to the routine and progress slows down. If they remain complacent and don't switch things up, like trying new exercises or increasing intensity, they might plateau and stop seeing improvements in their fitness levels.
Wow, Jessica. You explained it nicely. I hope our viewers understood. Now let's move to the next word.
But before we listen to the dialogue, let me ask you a question. What happens if I don't learn new words or if I stop learning?
That's an excellent question. If you stop learning new words, you might face difficulties. For example, if someone talks to you about a different topic, like politics or international affairs, you may struggle to understand or respond because you won't have sufficient vocabulary to express yourself.
Got it. And that is 100% true. So, the word we were going to learn is contentious.
How, for every Hamas member that you kill, how many did you create?
Mm-hmm.
And if you create more than you killed, you've not succeeded. That's the real situation there. And it's safe to say that if you kill somebody's child in Gaza, you've made at least a few Hamas members who will die just to kill an Israeli. That's the situation. So, but I mean, this is one of the most contentious subjects one could possibly discuss.
Welcome back, my friends. As Elon Musk said, this is one of the most contentious subjects one could possibly discuss.
That's a nice word. Contentious. It means something likely to cause disagreement or argument, right?
Yes. The synonyms for contentious include controversial, disputable, and debatable. It's often used to describe topics that spark heated discussions.
Let's make an example so that it's easier to understand. How about, the topic of climate change is highly contentious?
It means that people have strong opposing opinions about climate change. Some argue it's caused by human activity, while others believe it's a natural phenomenon. The debate often gets heated, making it a perfect example of a contentious topic.
Let's see the next word, diplomatic. That's an interesting word.
Right. I hear this word very often in discussions about international relations.
Okay. But first, listen to the dialogue.
He's spoken honestly about the possibility of war between US and China in the long term, if no diplomatic solution is found. For example, on the question of Taiwan and one China policy.
Right.
How do we avoid the trajectory where these two superpowers clash?
Welcome back, my friends. If no diplomatic solution is found.
So, Mark, what does diplomatic mean?
It means solving problems or disagreements in a peaceful way by talking and negotiating instead of fighting. In the case of Taiwan and the One China policy, it's about handling the situation carefully to avoid any serious conflict.
Let's make an example to understand better. How about, the leaders held diplomatic discussions to find a peaceful solution to the border dispute?
What is a diplomatic person?
A diplomatic person is someone who can handle sensitive situations carefully and tactfully. They know how to communicate without offending others and can resolve conflicts peacefully.
That's right. For example, a diplomatic person might mediate between two friends who are arguing, helping them find common ground without taking sides or making anyone feel bad.
Yes, here's a better example. When two co-workers disagreed on how to complete the project, John, being diplomatic, listened to both sides and suggested a solution that worked for everyone without upsetting anyone.
Now let's move to the next word, articulate.
Articulate. That's a nice word. Let's listen to the dialogue.
So that Athens and Sparta is a classic case. The thing about the Greeks is they really wrote down a lot of stuff. They loved writing. There are lots of interesting things that happen in many parts of the world, but people just didn't write down. So we don't know what happened, or they didn't really write with in detail. They just would say like, we had a battle and we won, and like, well, what? Can you add a bit more? The Greeks, they really wrote a lot. They were very articulate they just love writing.
Welcome back, my friends. They were very articulate, and they just loved writing. What does it mean by articulate?
It means being able to express ideas clearly and effectively, especially in speech or writing. The Greeks were very good at explaining things in detail and sharing their thoughts in a way that was easy to understand.
Let me give you an example. She was very articulate during the presentation, explaining every detail clearly and confidently.
Another example could be, the lawyer was articulate in presenting her arguments, making it easy for everyone to understand her point of view.